So what's up, fam? What's wrong with Brandon Johnson? What's wrong with Brandon Johnson, city of Chicago, the state of Illinois? You guys are in $1 billion deficit, even more, $1.6 billion deficit. But yet y'all are talking about giving away millions of dollars to I want to say poor people or people in poverty. Now, I gotta, I can't say I'm indifferent about giving poor people money because sometimes you need their help. I get it, but when you are broke, how can you get away with something like that? I mean, speaking on a average everyday tax paying American citizen, I go to work, I got a career, I make money. Okay. Every now and then somebody asks for money. If I can loan it to them, if I can give it to them or what have you. Sometimes I got no problem with it because I have it. Sometimes I don't have it, but or I might barely have it to the point of where I don't have enough to give you. If I give you, if I give you money that I don't have, if I'm struggling, you think I got money, but yet I sit here and volunteer to give you money, and I ain't got no money. Well, how much sense does that make? I mean, seriously, what does the stewardess on the airline say when the oxygen mask dropped from the ceiling of the airplane? Put your mask on first before you put a mask on everybody else, because if you put the mask on the people, little people, old people, crippled people, and then the oxygen is gone and you pass out, how are you gonna save everybody? You see what I'm saying? You passed out and these people got oxygen, but they can't help themselves. And so you did it for nothing. You can't help the pilot, you can't help the people next to you. You can't. And they have some kind of medical emergency. You can't help them because you can't breathe. So how do you make sense of giving money to anyway? Let's look at this news article because I want to do a deep dive. We're gonna break down some details of what's going on, why it's going on, because it's something that I have said in videos in the past that right now the proof is in the pudding. It's showing you that I knew exactly what I was talking about when it comes to money that the government have. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's break it down. Let's have a discussion. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
It is time for the hot topic of the hour. One of the country's largest counties now securing a universal basic income program where low-income households are guaranteed monthly payments. Fox Business's Kelly Severi is live from Chicago, where this program is unfolding after a lot of public discourse over this decision. Kelly.
This is guaranteed. Not that you filing for SNAP or TANF through the federal government. This is guaranteed from the city. But pay attention, though. Pay attention.
Good morning, Cheryl. This is what we know so far. $7.5 million will go towards this program, but who qualifies, how much the payments will be, and what recipients can spend this money on are still up in the air. The group Economic Security Illinois says almost all of the participants use these payments of Cook County's 2022 pilot program for their basic necessities. Cook County once had the nation's largest such program using money from the American Rescue Plan Act. For 2 years, monthly payments of $500 were given to 3,250 households, no strings attached. 56% of those in the program were employed with an average income of $21,000. Now, 94% of recipients of the money went to emergency expenses.
Hold on, let's go back. I want y'all to read it. I'm gonna let her talk, but let's just read these charts before they run through them real quick. So, guaranteed income, 40 years of age is the average age. 40. Making $21,000 a year is the average. So you're talking about 40-year-old making $21,000. Half of them got children. Only half of them are employed. and 31% delayed medical care due to cost. Now, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a nice number. Quite a few people. I don't see how, what they say, like 3,500 families. Uh, yeah, $21,000 a year. Shoot, yeah, that's not a lot. That's not a lot of money. That's really, especially for a 40-year-old. That's not a lot of money, man. I swore when I was younger and when I was working at a warehouse, I said, "There's no way where I'm going. I'm going to be in poverty. Not going to do it. Do everything I can to get up out of there and get a career to where I can make enough money to take care of my responsibilities, i.e., my children." But this is, see, 56% employed. That means, like I said, about half of the people are not employed. So you're gonna give, what they say, $500 a month. What the hell is that supposed to pay for? If you ain't got no money, if you're only making $21,000 a year, I mean, I guess you know, saying getting government subsidized housing, I guess, and they're also giving you $500 a month to take care of necessities. Man, I think they going about the wrong way of doing this. But anyway, let's continue.
$21,000. Now, 94% of recipients of the money went to emergency expenses, while an Illinois think tank says that they don't believe this expense, or excuse me, that this money for these people is not worth the expense to Illinois taxpayers. Listen to this.
Check it out. It says Cook County guaranteed income reduces stress, improves stability. 56% reported lower stress, 70% improved mental health, 75% felt more financially secure, 94% used payments for emergency expense. What does that tell you? They say money can't buy you love, but money sure in the hell can make you feel better. Money can't solve all problems, but money sure in the world will make you feel better. I mean, seriously. I can vouch for. I can come up with situations where I ain't have no money, very little money, and yes, it will add grays to your hair. It will make your hair fall out. It will stress you. It will cause you to have stomach problems, maybe even ulcers, can't sleep, depression. It will do that when you don't have money or you barely have a dime, two wooden nickels to rub together. But when you put money in your pocket, when you look in your account and you done paid all your bills and there's a surplus where you're to a point to where you can put your bills on autopilot and don't even have to look at your account like that to pay bills. You just look and make sure ain't nobody stole no money or what have you. But you know, as long as everything, and then you can get you an account to where if there every time a transaction is done, there's an alert. You can you can like get an alert if somebody try to do something outside of the bills that you pay. When you get to that point, oh man, life is good. Life is real good. So yes, and what's crazy is $500 allows people to feel a lot better, which shows you that these people don't make a lot of money. Because if $500 make you feel like that, man, then yeah, you don't make a lot. And that's sad in this country, which is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, the richest country in the world. But yet, too many people in the richest country in the world are living at or below the poverty line.
There are over 700,000 individuals in Cook County who are below the federal poverty line. If you extended it to every individual at current program rates, that would cost over $4 billion.
We're told the county's Bureau of Economic Development will have some of the answers to our questions by mid to late 2026. Cheryl, back to you.
Kelly Saberi, thank you so much. A lot to unpack there from this. And, you know, to be clear, what they're talking about here is with this guaranteed basic income is there's no requirement. Which is different from universal income, which goes to everybody. But we've seen this in Los Angeles, Chicago, where we just came from, Denver, San Francisco, Houston. You know, many critics say this is nothing more than an extension of welfare benefits and that you disenfranchise people from going out and seeking meaningful employment. It is not, it's a
Not $500, but I have a different take on it.
handout, not a hand up.
Exactly. And this is exactly the progressive strategy is they'll put something out there that makes you dependent on the government. And then they'll go back and say, well, why would you possibly oppose giving poor people money? Right.
Mm-hmm.
They frame it this perfect way. They do the same thing, covering up socialism on all sorts of issues. I mean, you look at the Green New Deal, which I refer to as watermelon policy, where it's green on the outside and it's red on the inside, because it's really just socialism. But
Watermelon being racist? No, ma.
they go back and they say, how could you possibly go against protecting the environment? Meanwhile, it's easier to build things in America that are cleaner and better than the Chinese that, conveniently these folks don't talk about. But that's how they continue to cover up their socialist goals, is by framing it in the most positive way possible.
That it's humane
Right.
and there's something wrong with you
Right.
if you don't agree.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then hiding the fact that it makes people dependent, which is as inhumane as it gets.
But that is unfortunately whether it's SNAP or it's welfare assistance or it's housing assistance. I mean, that's what ends up happening in many of these instances. And sometimes you end up with these nonprofits that come in and you've got fraudulent activity, and next thing you know, you've got a corruption investigation.
Exactly.
Looking at you, New York City. Sorry, but and that's again another criticism. When
Niggas, Ferris wheel going and it's snowing? What the heck? Well, I done lived in Texas too long. Well, all my life, but man, I done got spoiled. Ain't no way in the world Ferris wheel be running in the weather like that.
cities are already strapped,
Well-
and I'm sorry, but I don't think the fiscal house in Chicago is exactly
Not going
solid right now.
Well, exactly. There is a $1.2 billion deficit in the city of Chicago. And so Cook County, which is the county that's proposing this universal income solution, well, guess what? Guess where Chicago is? Cook County. So where's the money going to come from? My guess, they're going to try to put more taxes on the wealthy or on businesses, which is why so many businesses have left and why so many of the wealthy have left. And they've gone north. They've gone to up the lake to places like Kenilworth and Winnetka and Lake Forest, et cetera. And those towns now are incredibly red and very conservative because all of the money has left the old Gold Coast of Chicago, which is gorgeous. I mean,
I don't understand the thinking of Brandon Johnson and those who's pulling his coattail or pulling the strings. Why would he think that businesses would be okay with you raising taxes, or rich people be okay with you raising taxes in order to subsidize or in order to help pay for a budget or a deficit that they didn't create? Now, let's say like this. You do have businesses who go to cities because those cities are promised, especially like growing cities like what's out here, Forney, Waxahachie, Midlothian. Those are like cities on the outside of Dallas where you see a lot of businesses popping up. And what happens is they receive like tax exemptions, guarantees like for like 5 years, you don't have to pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? You bring your business here. So they'll set the business up, get going, get running. And then after those 5 years, they'll have to start paying taxes. Shoot, they may mess around and end up and move after that if the tax rate gets too high. So like I said, I'm not understanding why he feels like these businesses will just sit there and say, hey, y'all got to pay extra taxes. Oh, okay, George, yeah, we'll pay. Nah, they're gonna be like, well, they'll be like, that's your proposal? Okay, sounds good. But then behind closed doors, they're looking for other places to go. Matter of fact, you probably have other cities saying, hey, I heard Chicago is going to raise your taxes, make you pay more taxes because your business makes this much money, or you employ this many people, or you have this much money, you're this rich. Come on, move up here, bring your business up here, bring your family up here, and we guarantee we won't hit you with these tax rates and stuff and try to take more money out of your pockets. We want y'all to come up here because hell, they want that money. Just on GP, they want that money. So I don't understand why in the heck Chicago, Illinois, or whoever thinks that anybody wants to pay more taxes. Those people have the means to get up and move if they need to.
you can go up Park Avenue just right that way and see beautiful elegant old co-ops. Well, guess what? Go to Chicago along the Gold Coast, and it's exactly the same thing. The problem is they're now trading at a fraction of the New York City prices because they're being sold. Everyone wants to get out because get out while you still can. The taxes are so high.
What do you make about the concerns about inflation, Adam? Because many economists say when you look at different programs like this, whether it's universal basic income or it's targeted, that it actually ends up raising prices in these communities.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Anytime you give people money, that is stimulus. And whether it's welfare or whether it's PPP checks that came out during COVID, if you're giving people money, they are going to spend it. But if we're talking about a program that at least at this stage sounds very small, and it's going to a small number of people who are strapped and probably not able to spend a whole lot of money, I'm not sure that it's really going to have an inflationary effect.
And maybe that credit
It's really not going to help nobody. It's like that little bit of money for anybody. I don't care what you make. It's really not going to help you. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be more of a crutch because you can't do anything with $500 per month, especially if you can't afford to take care of yourself already. All it's going to do is just help you continue in the same cycle that you have been in. Now, it'd be different if, let's say, you want to give me $500, right? I'll take the $500 and just add it into my account. Won't spend it, don't need to spend it. Now, you may have some people who are, budgeted and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I know, this $500 is going to help. I'm just going to eat like bologna sandwiches, tuna fish sandwiches every day for a year, walk everywhere, go to whatever job, go to school or what have you, and then they stack that money for a year. What's that? 5, 12, 60. What's that? $6,000? Still ain't a lot of money. Damn, that still ain't much. But hey, you have $6,000 at the end of the year. Put that son of a gun in a money management account, and then next year start working. I don't know if anybody got a hustle like that or not, but most likely the people who's getting this money are not thinking in those terms.
criticism is because, but again, this goes back to, the fact that these are these progressive policies that we are seeing in many blue cities.
Yeah, and those kind of things are going to antagonize the people that they're eventually going to need help from when they run out of money. And so eventually when they run out of this, you're going to get the, drop dead New York, drop dead Chicago headline.
Well, that's the problem with socialism. Eventually you run out of other people's money.
Thank you, Margaret Thatcher.
Thank you, Margaret Thatcher. I was just about to my favorite line. Socialism is great till you're.
I'm not sure this is really socialism. The reason, it's social, maybe it's socialism in context, but I'm not sure that's why they're doing it, trying to prove that they're socialist and helping out the poor man. Me personally, I think it's for selfish reasons. Now, I told y'all before, I've done videos about the money that the governments have. Remember when all the illegal immigrants came in through Joe Biden, nobody understood why are they coming? Why are they letting all these people in, millions of people? Nobody understood it. Then you had these cities say, hey, we're sanctuary cities. Come on up here, right? So they had a plan that maybe a certain amount of people will go to different cities, and anybody else everybody else, y'all just got to deal with the illegals that you have, right? But then the plan kind of backfired when, the governor of the great state of Texas took all them migrants and shipped to Chicago or whatever, Detroit or Denver, whatever other cities that were quote unquote sanctuary cities. Cause they try to say, hey, y'all, we house them. Won't y'all house them too, man? Be a good American citizen. The hell with that. So Greg Abbott sent them all to Chicago and other cities. I think that's how the plan backfired, because what I thought about was the reason why they let them migrants in is because they have the money. They have money set aside somewhere for migrants, for illegals, whatever the case may be, people coming into the city. and it's just sitting there, and they can't spend it because it's already allocated for a certain thing. So they have to figure out a way to get into it, to put it back into the system, so that way they can, once it comes back, they can use it for something else in the future. But we got to use this money, and I feel like that's what's going on with this low income plan. Matter of fact, let me see if I can reach out some little details and notes about this plan. It's called the Chicago Resilient Communities Pilot / City Guaranteed Income Relaunch. It said the city, now again, remember, this is guaranteed, right? So the city first launched a guaranteed basic income pilot, the Chicago Resilience Communities Pilot, that provided monthly payments of $500 per month for 1 year to 5,000 low income Chicago families. It said eligibility for that pilot required at least 1 year residency in Chicago, being 18 or older, having experienced economic hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic, and a household income below 250% of the federal poverty level, or about $57,575 for a family of 3. Now you see, it said hardship during COVID-19 pandemic. So again, hell, who knows? That COVID-19 might have been brought out on purpose, so they can say, hey, let's get some money and set it aside to deal with this, because this is going to be astronomical, right? And next thing you know, like I said, they did what they wanted to, got what they wanted out of it, the vaccines and whatever the case may be. Y'all did hear that they said that is shown that, what was it? There were some kids that actually lost their lives because of that. But anyway, neither here nor there. They had the money set aside for that. So now you have to make sure that people are diagnosed or have died or what have you because of that COVID-19. You got to, because you got the money that's allocated for it. How else you going to be able to spend that money unless you use it for what it's for? Always, you know what I'm saying? You gotta think about stuff like that. But yeah, so you had money set aside for that. So in 2025, under Mayor Brandon Johnson, Chicago announced that it will relaunch the guaranteed income program using the remaining federal COVID-19 relief funds, which must be spent by 2026. The relaunch is backed by $32 million. As of now, the city has not yet released full details on how many families will qualify under the relaunch or the finalized income eligibility threshold. Those are to be announced. So see, they have money set aside. Chicago's in a deficit. Chicago is struggling. Chicago is in dire need of money. These little pennies here compared to the $1 billion deficit that they have ain't a lot, but it can start. It's something. Kind of like Donald Trump trying to lower the deficit by creating tariffs and whatever other things that he's trying to come up with. You know what I'm saying? It may not be a lot, but it's a start. Like I said, they have money set aside somewhere, and they can't spend it unless they use it for what it was allocated for. That's one reason why, what's her name? Fonnie Willis got in trouble, because she got eyes on her because she had asked for some money for like gang prevention or intervention in Atlanta or whatever county she in, and then turned around and used it for something else, and everybody got upset. And she said, hey, I got the money, I can spend on what I want to. But that's not what you requested it for. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Look it up. It said this program gives eligible low-income residents, including families and individuals, flexible cash with no strings attached, allowing them to use it for whatever they need: rent, bills, food, childcare, etc. You are not going to use $500 for rent or childcare. It will not cover it at all. But like I said, they not doing it for the people. They're not doing it to be socialist or to help out poor people. They're doing it for themselves to get the money back into the system. Because you know what you got to have. You got to have an administrative team. So which means you have to hire people to distribute the money, take phone calls, send out letters, make phone calls, conduct interviews, talk to people, to customer service, what have you. You got to hire people to do them jobs. So probably a lot of this money is going to go towards that. First, I guess what they're going to have this money, they're going to say, well, if we put this money out here, now we got to be able to pay people. So they're going to get more money like that. Again, it's all a plan. Ain't got nothing to do with socialism. I promise you. It said the county, which includes Chicago, it said it's a Cook County Promise Guaranteed Income pilot. Now this is permanent. The county, which includes Chicago, also rolled out a separate guaranteed income program. Under the pilot, 3,250 households receive $500 per month for 2 years. For let's say, what it say, $6,000 per household over the program period. Man, wait a minute. 5 and 12 is right. 5 and 12 is 6,000. How's that over 2 years? I'm confused. Anybody? Eligibility required a household income at or below 250% of the federal poverty level. God almighty, that's like nothing. What the hell is 500? I mean, $500 is a lot of money though for somebody who's making that little money. So I guess in late 2025, the county's board unanimously voted to make the program permanent, allocating $7.5 million in the 2026 fiscal year to continue support. Officials have said the permanent support is a response to positive outcomes. Many recipients used the payments for essential needs, food, rent, utilities, transportation, and reported improved financial stability. Yeah, I mean, because they ain't making no money, so $500 may be a lot to them. It just may be. For low and moderate income families in Cook County, including Chicago residents, the guaranteed income program is no longer a temporary pilot. It's become a long-term support system. You know what's so bad about this though? Chicago has an influx of non-citizens. And a lot of this money is going to be allocated for them. It's crazy that they didn't have this money for their citizens years ago. For the citizens now, they got all these migrants. The federal government gave them money. Now they're not giving them any more money for them, but they want to keep them. Well, shoot, they want them to vote for them too. Trying to get them the right to vote, kind of like how New York did when they got their mayor with that guy, and they showed how people were going to vote, and then you had to show an ID, just like make a statement or some crap like that. That's the purpose. They're not doing it for my people. They're not doing it for black people. Hell, probably not even doing it for white people, but they're doing it for these, like I said, these illegals. They done brought in, and now they got to find something for them to do. But like I said, it's all some kind of crazy plot. It said Illinois stability investment for family housing, one-time payments for families experiencing housing instability and homeless. This is a state-level program administered by the Illinois Department of Human Services and partners aimed at families with children who are homeless or experiencing household stability. Families can receive a one-time unconditional cash payment in the 2025 round. The lottery awarded either $6,500 or $500. That's a big difference. To qualify, the household must include a parent, guardian, and a child under 18. The family must be experiencing homelessness or housing instability, and at least one member must already be receiving benefits such as SNAP, TANF, and other state benefits. Also, children must be enrolled in public school in certain counties and areas. Did y'all see where it said that like non-citizen children that are in Chicago, they have like they got an unlimited amount of absences they can use if they family feel that they are being like threatened or terrorized by ICE and the federal government. They can miss as many days as they want to and not have to worry about being arrested or flunking or anything like that. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And you wonder why black folks in your city are upset with you, Brandon Johnson. It said the purpose is to help stabilize families in crisis and help them escape homelessness or housing instability by giving them a lump sum that can direct where needed most. So basically giving you money, do what you want to with it. Ain't that crazy? They said, why they're doing this, many of these efforts utilize unspent federal COVID-19 relief funds. That's what I was saying, from American Rescue Plan Act. And there is a deadline by which those funds must be spent or returned. There you go. There you go. So that's the basis of my whole video right there. Because I told you, like I said, they have this money. They have money and they need to spend it. Chicago's in a deficit. They ain't got no money. They got to find some money somewhere. So, hey, there's some money sitting over here. How can we get to it? How can we release it? So we can put it back into the system and so we can at least help us manage. Because once this money is gone, shoot, they ain't going to care about them illegals or poor people or nothing else after that. Oh, well, the hell, they don't care about them now. The only thing they're really trying to do is make sure that they are still paid and to grease their pockets somehow. It ain't got nothing to do with people, citizens or non-citizens at all. So the city and county's goal is to respond to pandemic era economic hardship, rent burden, food insecurity. Man, we had pandemic in how many years? Come on now. Utility bills, homelessness, child care by giving families money directly, trusting them to meet their needs. Why don't you just like not give people families and just pay the daycare directly? Say, hey, here goes some money, for these kids. We're just gonna pay them directly so they ain't gotta pay child care. Or get some of these churches to open up and offer child care and say, hey, tell the churches, hey, we give you money. Well, hell, church make enough money as it is. Nah, we ain't gonna give them no money. But the churches open up so our people can, kids can go to daycare while so the mom and daddy can go to work. You know what I'm saying? You give some people money because everybody that you giving money to ain't gonna use it the right way now. You know this. But I guess I don't care. Early research and anecdotal reports suggest many households using money for essentials: rent, food, utilities, transportation. Again, you ain't paying $500 on rent, ain't gonna work. Helping reduce financial stress, which supports the idea that direct cash can be more effective than narrowly targeted aid. What's unclear for the city-run launch of the Guaranteed Income Program 2025 exact eligibility criteria, how many families will receive payments, and when payments will actually start have not yet been fully released. Not all programs help everyone. For example, the SIFH focuses only on families experiencing homelessness or housing instability, not all low-income families. For county level guaranteed income in Cook County, while now permanent, the 7.5 million funding is limited. Yeah, so how can it be permanent when you ain't got that much money? That's like saying I got $10 and say this is permanent. I'm gonna give you money, and this is permanent. This is staying. I'm gonna give you $1 a month until the money runs out. So not every low income household would get it, meaning there is still competition eligibility threshold. What else? Let's see. I saw all the programs, how to apply and being eligible. One of them said you can apply regardless of immigration status. Citizenship is not required. The application was done via the web portal run by a nonprofit partner and required basic info and contact. So and you got to pay them to run it. You can apply. Oh, let's see. You also had to not already be participating in another guaranteed program. Okay. After the application window closed, participants were selected by a random lottery. It said the pilot itself ran payments through 2024. So that was the first one. So now the new one operating from January 27 of this year to March. This is the Illinois Stability Investment for Family Housing. To be eligible, it'd be a parent or guardian of a child 17 years or younger, enrolled in public school, or be currently homeless, housing unstable. Family must be receiving certain public benefits, okay, like the TANF and the SNAP. Child must be enrolled in public school in defined districts like Chicago, Cook County, et cetera, et cetera. Household must now already be receiving a housing subsidy, like a housing voucher, subsidized housing. So again, this is, if that's the case, how much was like 500? Let's see. Your selected household got a one-time cash payment either of $6,500 or $500. How do you have a gap that big? So you can't be okay. You can have SNAP, but you can't be getting housing. Okay, I get it because you're already getting money from the government. Okay, so I get it. So again, you're paying for your own rent. $6,500 is gonna be great. At $500, not so great. Turn to one-time payment. It say payments are issued via direct deposit or in the regular Illinois Benefits Link Card (EBT) for families already receiving IDHS. What the hell that is? Let's see what you want to do. I don't want to know about that. So here we go. So Chicago finances. For the fiscal year of 2024, the city ended with a $161 million deficit. The city projects a nearly $1 billion shortfall for 2025. Shoot, 2025 already over. Looking further ahead, the forecast for 2026 estimate a $1.15 billion deficit. driven by rising pension obligations, personal costs, and lower revenues from expiring federal aid and drops in certain taxes. Although the city uses some one-time funds to close gaps in the short term, many experts and watchdogs describe the city's overall financial situation as structurally imbalanced, meaning that recurring expenses, pensions, debt, employee pay outpace reliable revenue. That's why a lot of these jobs now are making you or automatically enrolling you in like 401k or retirement plans that you got to give like a certain amount. And then a lot of jobs, they will match the little 3%. But they're doing that because these pensions are breaking these cities. Like really. It say the deficit and structural imbalance limits how much the city can spend on services, including social programs, public safety, housing aid, and other supports for low income or vulnerable residents. Rising pension and debt costs are already consuming a large share of the budget, which constrains flexibility to add or maintain cash assistance or social support programs. City officials have floated possible tax increases or new tax and fees and cut to some programs in order to close the gap, which could affect services or shift burdens on the residents or businesses. And like I said, them people will leave. The moment you say raise my taxes, they will leave, and I do not fault them for that. I ain't mad at them. They say the fact that Chicago is in deficit doesn't necessarily mean the city won't attempt to help low-income families. But long-term support, especially recurring cash aid or expansive social services become harder to maintain. Programs relying on city funding might face reduction, delays, or uncertainty, especially once one-time pandemic-era funds or federal grants run out. Man, Chicago gonna have a whole bunch of homeless people here by the time 2027 hit. A whole lot. Eligibility or availability might shrink if budget cuts are needed to balance the books. This is crazy. This is crazy. Tax increment finance. Chicago is counting on a record high tax increment finance surplus, about $1.0 billion, part of its 2026 budget proposal. Of that, the city estimates it would get roughly $232.6 million. A large portion goes to local agencies and public school funding. Again, somebody got to get paid to work. Using TIF surplus this way is a one-time irregular boost, but it helps plug a major chunk of the gap in the fiscal year. If they can raise that, like I said, I've seen a lot of people like complain, go to them city council meetings and pretty much cuss out Brandon Johnson for doing this. I've seen where they try to have votes and the city council and the folks in politics shot it down because they're like, nah, we're not finna do that. It's just not going to work. It's the city under Brandon Johnson and the budget team has proposed several revenue raising and fee adjustments ideas to help fill the gap. Some possibilities include increasing the monthly garbage collection fee, long frozen at a low rate, which could bring in substantial money, raising taxes on certain goods like liquor stores, restaurants, meals, potentially other services, considering surcharges such as congestion surcharges to get revenue from ride sharing or traffic. Imposing new business tax fees, like earlier proposals have included a head tax on large employers, okay, or expanding certain taxes, though these are controversial. Cut or reduce certain expenditures. Let's see, according to recent reports by City Task Force, Chicago has identified many possible cost-saving efficiency moves, though none are painless. Examples include reviewing and renegotiating vendor contracts, city service contracts, aiming to reduce waste, reducing or adjusting employee-related costs, healthcare contributions, overtime payment, staffing levels, though labor negotiations and union contracts complicate this. Restructuring certain city services, like cutting or consolidating underused or expensive units, changing how ambulance 911 call services are handled to save money. Hell, I heard they don't even go to the hood. They slow anyway. And so on and so forth. It's a lot more that I can get into, but I think that's enough for now. But yeah, I don't understand it. Chicago's in a pickle. We got a lot of problems going on financially, and it's not getting no better. Now you want to sit there and give people money. Again, I can't really, on the surface moral level, giving people money to help them, to help them get on their feet, stay on their feet. Maybe they can build off of it. I got no problem with that. But the problem is you don't have the money really to give it to them. But my thing is, do you have programs to show them how to balance and budget money? Have programs where they can go to schools and learn trades, learn something, have something somewhere where they can get a job to make more money. Because if you don't and you just handing out money, again, it's just a crutch and you're not helping them at all. And all they're gonna do is just suffer, continue to suffer. And once that money is gone, it's sure they're gonna suffer even worse. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. With that being said, I leave you in peace and love, and I'll see you on the other side.